Each week, American History TV's American Artifacts visits museums and historic places.
We are standing in the old House of Representatives in a building that we call Congress Hall. Although originally it was built as a county courthouse for Philadelphia, for most of its history that's exactly what it was. But in the years that the city of Washington, D.C. is being built, Philadelphia serves as our temporary U.S. capital. This room serves for the House of Representatives. The second floor of the building that we'll see in a moment was the United States Senate. The House of Representatives, each representative at that point in our history represented 30,000 people. We had a population at our first census of about 3.75 million. We had 106 members of the House would sit in this room, and eventually from 16 states. And the story of Philadelphia as the U.S. capital is the story where we're taking a new constitution and actually operating it, doing things like adding new states to the original 13. Also, the Bill of Rights would become a part of our Constitution while Philadelphia was the capital. In fact, the Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson would formally announce the amendments to the Constitution by basically coming to Congress here in this building. Probably the best day in this room's history, in a lot of ways, is the day John Adams is inaugurated at the front by the Speaker of the House's platform. He will stand on that platform with Thomas Jefferson, also at the front of the room, outgoing President George Washington. Now, this is a big deal. Changing presidents for us today is a fairly normal thing. We have big parades and parties, and it's a big thing. But this was a really important day because this is where we are proving that the system where we, the voters, elect our leaders and we change them when we vote, we're proving that that system works. Well, we're in the Senate chamber here at Congress Hall in Philadelphia. The room, as you can see, is quite a bit more grand than the House of Representatives would have been, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Our roots as a nation go back to when we were British, of course. The British have a parliament with two houses, an upper house, the House of Lords, a lower house, the House of Commons, and there's definitely parallels with our Congress today. The House of Representatives is very similarly set up to the House of Commons, and then the Senate would therefore be left to be based on the House of Lords. But obviously we're not going to have dukes and earls and noble titles like that. But we have states, and every state is equal in the Senate. So the states kind of take the place of our House of Lords in our Senate chamber. So the British, often using that green color in government, the colonies would use it and then into the American government. But the red would kind of be much more that House of Lords kind of color. So you're going to see red in that early Senate here in Philadelphia. The eagle on the ceiling is, we're not 100% sure the date on that. The one thing I can tell you is there's 15 stars above it, so it's somewhere after the 15th state enters the Union. We don't know exactly when, and may never know exactly when that was painted, but it is sort of an artistic rendering of the seal of the United States. The seal was another thing created here in Philadelphia, actually by the Continental Congress in Independence Hall in 1782. It's something that they'd worked on off and on throughout the Revolutionary War. They had different committees and kept changing a little bit here and a little bit there until they finally worked out the final version of the seal. We have a carpet on the floor that is a reproduction of the original carpet. The original carpet more than likely went to Washington when they moved, but whatever happened to it, it's long gone. We don't know what happened to the original Senate carpet, but it was made specifically for the room here, and there was actually enough written description of exactly what it was that enabled us to sort of recreate the carpet, and it would have also featured the seal of the United States, but it would have been encircled by the original state seals. It's sort of set up as a chain, which was actually a pretty common motif of the time, of chaining the states together to create this bigger thing, this United States of ours. So a lot of those interesting symbols, whether for the states themselves, for the United States, again, have their roots here in Philadelphia. You look back to these early days, and they're managing to find out what doesn't work, which isn't much, and find out that most of that Constitution does. And so we're able to today look at a room that's much smaller than the Senate today, but the senators who sat here pretty much do the same things as the senators in Washington today.